Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ma'am, can I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, can I start?
Yes,
Am
ma'am.
I
Yes,
audible?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
audible, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
yeah. We are going to talk about the best PPT presentation technique. Very, very important one because many of us of late, be it in the class or be it any kind of a presentation or be it as a chief guest, anywhere, we mostly depend on the PPT. So therefore, we need to talk about what is the best presentation technique. Because many a times when we see the PPT, we feel certain things are irrelevant, or we feel that certain things have been overdone, or we feel that there's a lot of things that need to be edited in that. So that's how we all grew. Even it started with me when we started off. When I started off, I didn't know what exactly is this PPT, and I was so much dependent on my students that I had to ask them, what do I do? How do I change the slides? How do I go about? How do I write in this? See, because of late we can see that the children before us or the next generation is more equipped than us. So we need to understand how exactly we need to be a good presenter. So we'll go for a very brief introduction. Before that, we talk about how we need to go for a best presentation. First, we need to understand what exactly is this PPT. It says PPT is a PowerPoint presentation. I've underlined those two words. I will come to the third one, presentation. That is also very important. When I come to the fourth or the fifth slide, I'll be able to click on that enormously. See, it says it's a PowerPoint presentation. I will tell you what exactly is that PowerPoint also. And it's a combination of many slides. Some of them believe that we need to have many, many slides. Some of them believe that an apt one, very less, from 8 to 10 or 15 slides is more than enough for us to present ourselves. But anyway, it's a combination of many slides. Why I put here is because we'll be having a chart in that, we'll be having graphs in that. It depends on who is presenting what. That is why the next sentence says that it's a popular tool for the professional presentation. See, whenever professional wants to present, um, they require certain things. Like for us, we only talk about theory. So for us, the slides with the just the sentences or the words are more than enough for us. But when we see the economists or people who play with the mathematics or who play with the numbers presenting it, they might be requiring charts and all that. So always we deal with them, and it's mainly the professionals who deal with this. And when you talk about exactly what exactly is the PowerPoint presentation, we need to understand that it is nothing but visual improvisation. Why we need to say it's a visual improvisation is many a times when we hear, we don't remember it. But when we see added with the hearing, we do remember it better. See, initially we used to only hear stories. That is why there is always a game. It says that if you tell one person one thing, by the time it comes to the last person, there's some other version that comes out. Why? Because there is an imagination that is added in that. I say something, with the second person says something added in that. The third person says something, and another one more sentence is added. So by the time you come to the last person, something else is being portrayed to us. This is a game which many of the people play, or usually the professionals in the management college play. That's quite naturally we have heard this and we have played the game also. But here it is added with the vision. That is, we see that. Initially, we used to depend only on the newspaper. So everything was dependent on the newspaper. I can tell you how minute is this vision, which is very important in all of our life. It would have played a major role in all of our life. I remember my grandfather, if there is any letter which comes to us from the relative's house, he used to keep that. He used to save that and keep it. Because many of us might be know it, or many of them would have experienced it. There's a hook-like thing that is made, and inside that all the letters are put and kept. Why means after some days, the relatives will come and tell us, I said this. No, 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 you said the other one. You said this. So my grandfather used to say, no, I have proof. Why is that? So much is important given to our vision, because what we hear along with the vision is very important. That is why it is called as a visual improvisation. Many a times when we see, we remember it better. We very much vividly remember it. We say, it was in this color. No, no, that comical strip we remember. It was portrayed with this animation. So many things. So here, when you say it's a PowerPoint presentation, you need to remember that it's being done usually by a professional, and it is for a visual improvisation. That is, to keep it in our memory, they put it in the form of vision. and usually it illustrates the idea. Many times the facts might also be there, but sometimes there we have to portray our things, what is there inside our brain. So it illustrates the idea also. See, facts are there. Why I want to say that idea are also included is many a times when we convey certain things, we put our things into that, or we feel this should be better if we convey it this way. So it illustrates the idea because each one of us have our own way of presenting. See, I have seen my teachers. One teacher usually writes on the board because she believes that vision is more important. Another teacher only believes when she says, I am a professor, I will only stand and give a lecture. There are some teachers who give us only in the bulletin form. There are some teachers who will be giving us along with the bulletins, along with the notes, along with the presentation, along with speaking. They might also add one more thing. They might say some story or something like that. So when you say what exactly is PPT, you can very briefly say that it's a PowerPoint presentation where many of the professionals use it because it gives us something like a visual improvisation and it illustrates a kind of an idea which gets etched in our memory. It is always in our memory. So that's a very brief introduction about our PPT. Ma'am, the next slide, please. See, we'll briefly draw what exactly is the history. Actually, this person, Robert Gaskins and Dennis Austin, were the first people to have created this PPT. They joined a company called as Forethought Inc. When they joined there, they were given 1 month, 3 months time, and within a month's time, they came up with this idea called as PPT. Initially, it was not called PPT; it was called as presentation graphics because many people depended only on the graphics. So, presentation graphics for overhead projection. So, this is what it was called as. That is in the company Forethought Inc. In that company, this person, Robert Gaskins and Dennis Austin. On the next slide. They were the one who created this idea and they created it within 1 month. And this person is Mr. Dennis. And initially, they didn't know what name to keep. They kept the name presenter. Once they kept the name presenter, they wanted to register it. When they went to register, this happened in the year 1979. When they went to register it, the lawyer said that this name is already registered. So we cannot register under this name. So they came out with a lot of other names, alternate names they came out. They came out with the name Slide Maker, Overhead Master. These were the names that they came out with. But the company was not happy with all these names. They were only they were happy with presenter, and they were not happy with the Slide Maker, Overhead Master. They felt that this is not professional. This sounds very unprofessional or very much just like an English normal term. It doesn't have that the professional presentation kind of a you just say, you know, this one brand name. It doesn't have that brand name. That's what they felt. Ma'am, the next slide, please. Then what did they do? So they went on thinking. There were lots of input coming from various people in the company. Then Mr. Gaskins, what he did, he was under the shower. That's why I put this word, Eureka. You must be knowing Archimedes did this. He was under the shower and he remembered the theory of buoyancy and he ran out from the shower and naked he ran out in the road and he gave it to the king and all that. So just to remember, I put this slide. So even Gaskins was under the shower and he remembered this name called as PPT. He wanted to use it as PowerPoint presentation. But somehow this was also not accepted by many people. The company people said, no, again, this doesn't sound very great to us. So we don't want to remember, we don't want this name PowerPoint presentation. So there was another colleague who was working with him. His name is Glenn Hobbin. What this person did was he was also thinking of an alternate name. Somehow this person also, somehow the mind mingled, I believe. Somehow this person suddenly came up with the name PowerPoint, which was also the name given by Mr. Gaskins. So Glenn Robbins also independent. That's why we use the word independently. He had also had the same idea, and he came up and said, "Why don't we use the word PowerPoint?" Then again, as usual, the company didn't like it, and the company didn't like the name given by both of them. But then they said, both of us have come up with the same name, so there must be some omen in it, some kind of a good omen in it. So we let us accept it. So that is how it was accepted. So this is a very, 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 very brief history about your PPT. Now, what did they do after they did this? By the same time, the Microsoft were also producing the same kind of things. So what did they do? In the year April 20, 1997, officially the PPT was released, though it was not personally called PPT, it was not exactly called PPT at that point of time. After the naming and all that ceremony finished, then it was released in the year 1987, but only the Macintosh machines could use that. Then after that, what? The Microsoft was also developing the same kind of thing. Then they thought this is very dangerous because the Forethought Inc. company had already done this and they have already registered it. So the Microsoft company had a negotiation with this company and they said, we are ready to buy this. So please give us one amount. That amount that was decided at that point of time, I'm talking about 1980. That was $14 million. It was accepted and Microsoft immediately bought it. And the year 1990, it was officially released by Microsoft. That is, it was accepted throughout and they said that we'll keep the name PPT only, and it was officially released for Windows in the year 1990. And from then on, many of us have been using it. Of late, all of us use it, but then it was very few of them who were using it. So that's a small history about your PPT. Now, why should we know the history? See, initially we are talking about PPT. That itself is a very important thing. We need to know how exactly it originated. When we are saying, I want to know only the best techniques for PPT, remember, one of the best technique of knowing anything, to remember anything, is to know the history. Once you tell history like a story to somebody, they will remember it better. So this is one of the techniques to say that your presentation should also have history. I'll come to what exactly is the best technique. One of the techniques, I'm repeating it, one of the technique is always speak a little. Tell your students, tell them that you know history, or tell them that you have had good lot of knowledge on that. You've worked, you've done your research, you've gone back to find out who is the exact person who started it. So one of the best methods is to go for a study of the history. Now, please move on to the next slide, ma'am. We need to understand what exactly is the advantage, because when I say PPT has got the better way of approach, or it we'll be able to remember and all those things, but we need to understand what exactly is the advantage. As I've already told you, the name itself suggests PowerPoint. It's powerful. It's very much powerful. Many a times when we say this is the picture, we present the picture before anybody, we'll be able to remember it very easily. So it's very powerful for us. And usually it is very simple. Why have used the word simple? See, whenever we use something like this, like just the previous slide, I put on two people's photograph, and then I was able to put that word Eureka and all that animation and things like that. We'll be able to remember it easily, and it's very simple for us to remember, think, work on it. See, even for me, when I was thinking of this, I was thinking, how do I project that under the shower? Immediately, one more story we remembered. So it is very simple, and it usually tells a story. And one word. See, many times when we put PPT, we don't write pages together in that. As I told you, it's only PowerPoint. Now I will go back to the definition. PowerPoint. I've already covered the word power. It's very powerful. Point-wise, whenever we give anything, it is point-wise. But for us, that point will be able to tell a story. As I told you, just now it was telling you a story. That one word, we will remember how to project it and how to tell a story. So that word is enough for us to tell a story. And it's very cost-effective because you don't pay anything for that. It is free of cost. So many a times we store that and we can use it n number of times as well. Many a times when, especially if you're a teacher. If you're a teacher and you want to give some notes to the students, take the same thing. Next year also the same syllabus will be there, or maybe little more changes you feel it need to be added, or you feel something better can be done. But still the basic remains the same. And with that you can go on. So it is very cost effective, it is free, and it is very easy to use. Of late, everybody knows what exactly is PPT. Everybody knows. It's very easy to use. Just open it, you click on that, and it opens up, and you keep on writing on that and doing it. And then it's very engaging. See, whenever we see anything very pictorial, many a times we feel, yeah, we need to look again. We need to look again. Again, I'm telling you, it's a PowerPoint presentation. How you present is very important. I'll come to that again because that presentation is very, very important. That word is very important for us. And that presentation should be so powerful that it should keep the audience engaged. And the next one is, it's the best thing to market your product. Many of them, they know how to project it. They know how to market themselves. And it's many times it depicts your growth. It tells you what exactly you're doing, how you have done it, when you're especially putting it graphical wise or in a pie chart and all that. Because I am not been from the side of commerce where I've been using the graph and all that. So I don't have much of a knowledge on it. But economists and all these people who work on something which they want to project, depicting growth is very important. There again, I can tell you a story. Ratan Tata wanted to retire from the company. When he wanted to retire from the company, you know what happened? He was searching for a person who could take on the mantle. So what happened? He went on doing it, and one point of time, Cyprus, I think I lost his name. I'm sorry on that. He gave a PPT presentation, and on that day, Tata decided that he will be the one who will be next taking over the company because his, his PPT was so powerful. He was able to convince Tata. He was able to tell Tata how he will be able to take the company to the next generation. What all benefits he will be able to give to the company. Like I told you, depicting growth, you should be able to project how you will be able to do it. Especially if you're working on the company side and all, they'll ask you what next, how you're planning to do it, tell us, and things like that. So for that, your PPT is very important. So if I have to put it in a very succinct manner, it's very powerful. We need to remember that it can speak volumes. It can tell a lot of stories. It can tell a lot of facts as well. Not story always. Just a word can tell a lot of facts. Just a word can tell a lot of stories. It can be very creative, very cost effective because you don't pay anything for that. Very, very easy to use. Of late, all the kids also know that. And you can repetitively use it, especially if you're a teacher or somewhere where you want to use it or where you want to improvise it. And remember, it's used for the best marketing technique and to tell how exactly you've grown or how the company has grown. So these are the small things that can add value to your PPT. Now, next slide, please. Now we'll move on to the next very important one. What are the best techniques? Very important. That is what we have to start with. But just an introduction, I thought would look nice. How should your PPT be? See, whenever you are having a PPT in your hand, that PPT should arise a question first. And that PPT itself should answer. That is, you yourself should be able to answer. See, suppose I am presenting something. What we do is many a time we think the people on the other side will not ask us any question. No. We have to stand in that position and we have to ask the question and we have to come this side and say what are the answers that I'm going to give for this kind of question. But apart from this, the brains might be very well tuned. They might ask some of the questions also. But still, especially when you're presenting to young minds or when you're presenting in a conference, there can be n number of questions that might come up. So you should only ask the question. So your PPT should be so powerful that it should only ask a question and you should only be able to answer it. So that research you should have done. I will give you an example. I went for a conference where I had to speak about women empowerment. I really depicted a very rosy picture. I said, this is a women empowerment, like this, they have grown, they are pilots, there's everything, we went on speaking about women empowerment. At the end of the conference, a very young boy came and asked me, ma'am, you told so many things that this is how the women have improved and all that. But when we turn and see, we see so many people, they are not empowered. Take my home itself, my mother is not that empowered. What is your answer? How can you say that they will get empowered? Then this is something that I never expected. Because when we talk about women empowerment, we think this person has improved, that person has improved, women have come out of the cocoon. We talk like this. But that was the question that I never expected. But then I told, see, 20 years before I were to tell that women go out and work, would you have accepted? Or 30 years before, would they have accepted? The society would not have accepted. If I were to say that men also have to learn cooking, would they have accepted? They wouldn't have accepted. So in a situation like that, from there to here, the growth is enormous. And we have slowly started accepting. So that is how the women empowerment will also change. What I'm saying today, we need not have to change. Tomorrow morning, it doesn't happen. But slowly it will change. And I immediately have to tell the students that now you have heard it. Now you can also be a reason for a change. You said only my mother works. Why don't you go and give her a helping hand at home? Something that a student never expected. That could be an answer. So like that, you should only start a question. Your PPT should start a question and give an answer to that. Apart from that, as I told you, one or two questions which we never thought or out of the box, certain questions might come. But we should be ready. Or we should not just say, this is in the book. Okay, take it. We have presented to you. Or this is what the other person says. This is how I want to present my conference. So you don't do it. You're a professional. So you need to know what might be the question and what I need to answer. So that's one thing that you need to work on. And second, you need to talk and connect with your audience. See, whenever you are saying that, I am talking. I am just going on talking now. I do not know how many of you are listening to me because this is the situation where we are in and we are through the Zoom. But especially when you are in eye-to-eye contact, you need to know that you have to connect with your audience. The audience needs to know that you are getting connected with them. For that, your PPT should speak volumes because it should have the chapter. It should have the material, and then only you will be able to connect. Simply if I tell you some story, something happened and all that, nobody is interested in that. So for that, you should be able to talk and you should be able to connect with your audience. For that, you should have enormous subject matter in your PPT. Now, you may be thinking talk and connect with your audience in what way that is connected with the PPT. No, for you to talk and connect. Now I go back to the first slide where I told you PowerPoint presentation. That word presentation, you cannot do away without the presenter. Remember that many of us think, when I have a PowerPoint presentation, all the points are given in that and my job ends there. No, PowerPoint. You speak to the point in a powerful manner that is being given by a presenter. That is, your presentation is given by a presenter. So these are three important things that is very, very important in a PowerPoint presentation. You need to speak powerful, to the point, and you must have a good presenter. So when you say that you have a good presenter, you must have good lot of points for reverse also. When you say you have a good presenter, you must have good lot of points, and that point should be powerful, and then only you will be able to connect with the audience. That's why I told you I only spoken about PowerPoint. I never spoke about the presenter. So remember, nothing just point wise will help you. You should have a powerful presenter. When the next one is, you read the third one, that presenter should be very passionate. That is, I've written passionate is they must be with a vision. That is, they should have some kind of a attachment to the subject. Suppose if somebody says, present this. Okay, I'm presenting, all of you read this, all of you, have you understood? This is what I want to say. No, you should be able to connect the dots, like how Steve Jobs said. You should be able to keep on connecting. And when you say you're going to connect, from inside it should come. For you to get it from inside, you should have done your homework. How you should do your homework? You should be able to connect with the audience. How you will be able to connect with the audience? Only when you have a point which is very powerful. For that, you should have done research. So it's all a combination. It's excuse me for my bad word. So it's a kind of a connection that you have to get into. Sorry on that. My apologies. Then, now again, I go back to the word presentation. Look at it. When you're making any kind of a presentation, the attention shifts from the slide to the presenter and from the presenter to the slide. Don't think only your slide is very powerful. No, many of us, when we say that we should have the best technique, means the presenter is the main person who gives you the best technique. When I say that you should have the technique, means you should have the language. You should not only have the language, you should know how to present it. Apart from presenting it, you should have voluminous subject. You should be able to connect to any story, anything that is happening, apart from any controversial subject. Never connect with the controversial subject. Once you connect with the controversial subject, what happens is the student or anybody who is listening to you stops getting connected with you. They might feel that you're biased. So when you say that you have a best presentation technique, remember that you should be able to connect with the audience, and remember you should be passionate. That is, you should know, you should love your subject. But remember, never get into any kind of a controversy. So that you can put under those. Okay. The next one, ma'am. Yeah. And whenever you're saying anything, your PPT should have new knowledge. New knowledge means don't go by what book says. Everybody knows what book says, especially if you're addressing an audience or if you're addressing just college students. They know, they read before you, or they are not interested what is there in your book. Never do that. What you have to convey, that you have to convey. It is like your choco pie, local choco pie, something like that you get, no? That is, inside it's like a bun, but outside it is coated with a chocolate. So you get two things together. So what you want to convey, you need to convey, but remember that you should convey with a new knowledge. That is, you should keep on watching certain things. You should see what exactly is happening around you. What would interest the student? So you should convey the subject, but at the same time, you should convey with new knowledge. New knowledge means what they might have heard, but at the same time, they don't have a thorough knowledge on that. Many times we go by the book knowledge. That is why I've written no theory, practical knowledge through theory. That is, you need to give them the practical knowledge. Yes, you need to touch here and there what has been told to them, especially in a class. Many times when you're teaching a student, what happens is after 30 minutes, they lose the interest. Even in a conference, many of them don't want to listen. Who wants to listen to you? Many times, many of them are sitting just for a certificate, or they feel, you would have seen many of the speakers, before they stop, there will be class. What is that? They are not able to convey exactly what we need to convey. And you don't have to go by the books. Never ever go by the books. What you need to give them. But at the same time, add up certain things. So keep on creating knowledge. Somewhere here and there. Run away from the topic. Give them something new and come back. Like I told you, I felt that talking a little bit about the history would be interesting. Because nobody is interested in knowing, what PPT means. Okay, PPT, we know how to make it. We don't want one person to come and talk on it. But some knowledge here and there, something, you pull them up. When you tell them, this is how it started. See how they have done it. Just taking the example of computers, I had a computer teacher. He used to tell me, don't come with slippers inside the lab, computer lab, don't come with the slippers. At that point of time, he gave us a small history. He told the room that we had, that time we had this desktop, we didn't have this laptop. The room that we had, that was the first size of the computer. He taught me this somewhere in the year 1984, 85. Still, I remember that. And he used to say, a computer lab means those days must and should have a AC. And the AC should be continuously running. And the teacher will constantly come and check the desktop. If it is hot, she'll say, come on, switch it off, switch it off, switch it off. Halfway through also, you have to switch it off. See, these are small things that we have observed. And we have come out with a thing. All this you should be able to imbibe in that. You should be able to tell them, to create their interest. And you should be able to speak well, communicate with them. And when you're communicating, you be comfortable. That is very important. Many a times, when you feel very uncomfortable, the other side people sense it. They know that you are not comfortable speaking and you don't have good vocabulary. You don't have good knowledge. You haven't done your research. So this should never happen because, again, I go back to the first word, PowerPoint presentation. The presenter is very important. I shift from the slide to the presenter to the slide very often. So that is why you who are the presenter, which is very much pictorial, when you're doing it, make sure that you're comfortable speaking and you should have good vocabulary, good knowledge. That should be depicted there. And to the point at times. It needs to be to the point. Again, in my next slide, I'll be contradicting that word. I will tell you how. To the point, I'll be contradicting, I'll tell you. See, the next step it says, some places you have to be brief, some places you got to be exhaustive. Now, I have put the word contradictory there. Certain things don't require explanation. Don't explain to them at all. Whoever it is, be any audience, you don't have to explain. You just say, this is what I wanted to convey. Like, take my example of the second one. I've said no theory, practical knowledge through theory. Now, everybody will be confused and ask, what is that? Convey new knowledge. Anybody can ask me what. There I need to be exhausted. But speaking, comfortable, all those places I don't have to be exhausted. The word takes enormous. The word says enough. When I say you need to speak well, everybody knows what it is. When you say you need to be comfortable because you are the presenter, you need to be comfortable. Everybody knows what it is. So there you can be brief. There it is necessary. To the point, brief. There it is necessary. Be very exhaustive. That's why I told you. I've again used the second slide. Word that can tell a story. It's a word, but it tells a story. When you tell a story, you got to be exhausted. Just a word, enough. If it is self-explanatory, enough. No need to explain to them. Just say that and walk away. Because many a times, when you're stagnant in the same place, they get bored. They're not bothered about you. So when you say the best way of presenting is, don't bore the audience. Never ever bore the audience. The audience should be all ears to listen to you. They must be saying, yeah, little more. Yeah, is this the way? Is she correct? Is she wrong? They should be thinking. It should kindle that fire in them. So you should be doing it. And remember, whenever you are making any PPT presentation, rehearse before that. Why that rehearsal is very important? Because I've already used the one word. Sometimes we need only the points. When we have only points, we tend to forget. We come to that point where one day, what did we write? When we wrote that, we wanted to say so many things. This has happened to me, especially when I was presenting my PhD. I was thinking I wanted to say something here. I lost track because I was scared. I was doing a presentation. So I was scared. So certain places I had written it point-wise and made notes. And now I kept a separate note. That's a different thing. But here, you should rehearse. Keep on rehearsing because you are going to go and meet the audience who are, as I told you, their eyes are going to shift between you and with the slide and between the slide and you. So remember, you need to have good rehearsal. Very, very important. Many of us don't do that because we think rehearsing is below our cadre. No. When we want to catch our audience, we need to keep on rehearsing. We need to keep on speaking. We need to tell ourselves. That's why I told you, we need to start a question. We need to answer it ourselves. When we do that, then we rehearse it. When we keep looking at our slides again and again and see the mistakes that we have done. So only when you rehearse, you will ask the question, you will only answer it, and you will feel, I think I've done better. So if you think, suppose, I wrote this slide just 2 days before, and I don't look at it, forget it. I think, I am the master. I know everybody is going to listen to me. No, I might be very bad when I'm presenting it. Never do that. Sit and think. There are audience who are doctorates before us, who are postdoctorates before us, who are more than that before us, who are professors, who have been in the position for more than 40 years. They know everything better than us. I am not the one to teach them. So there, I need to rehearse. Why should I rehearse? so that I don't go bad in coding. That will be my last word when I'm finishing my slide. I'll tell you what exactly it means. And the next one, please. Then, content. As I told you, you need to have content. When can you say that you have content? The word again in the same slide I've written, last one before that, research. You should do good research. Anything given, start from the beginning and see what they have done, who has done it, why they have done it. Because many of us are interested in listening to a story. Story is always there in our mind. See, when we were kids, Mama stories, we still remember. The stories from Tinkle, we remember. Our grandmother's stories, we remember. Why do we remember all that? Because they were able to put it inside our brain. They were able to put it inside our brain. So, like that should be your storytelling capacity. I'm sorry. Not only story, I'm talking about even a fact. A fact also can be projected like a story. You should be able to do that. So for that, you should have content and there should be clarity. Very clear you should be. What I want to say, I will say. Yes, there might be hiccups here and there. There might be problems here and there. Or maybe what I thought, the opposite people might not have thought that way. They might have felt, okay, it's not up to the mark. Yes, fine. But there's a method of correcting yourself. When can you correct yourself? When you know you have the content and when you have the clarity. See, now I'm presenting something. Somebody might have felt, no, she's not up to the mark. No, this is not what we wanted. We expected something else. Nothing wrong, nothing wrong. Because their thought process is entirely different. That is where you should know that you are conveying this and you need to take more from them. You need to do research. You need to, at the same time, keep on rehearsing. When will you get this content and clarity? When you have good research and when you are rehearsing. And remember, charisma. Very important. The presenter needs to have the charisma. There are some people who they just talk and you will be able to look at them. You just look at them, you'll be mesmerized by them. And you feel that person, whatever that person said is absolutely perfect. Yes, we have gone through all this. There are so many people, I've seen my teacher. And my teacher presents, we feel, yes, what this person has told is right. I've gone through this. I was not able to speak on this. How come? Yeah, it's right. Now see that what do you say that is nothing but a charisma. That person is able to pull you. Your slide, I told you, your eyes move from the slide to the presenter to the slide. PowerPoint presentation. The presenter is very important. So you should be very charismatic. Charismatic, when does it happen? When you have done all this homework. Your PPT becomes the good one only when you are done your homework. Then you have to plan well. What is it that I want to speak? What is it that I want to say? You have to prepare well and you should be able to present well. Very important. See, many a times we have everything, we are not able to present. We will not be able to present ourselves at all. See, presentation here, as I told you, it is not only your vocabulary, your knowledge, your method of telling a story, your method of dressing. Many times, we see that the teacher should have dressed well. Many of my students, they come up and, Ma'am, I think this sari you wore last week. They are not worried about the slides. They're more worried about my sari. Ma'am, this sari you own, ma'am. I've already seen. Ma'am, this sari actually I want for my presentation also, ma'am. Please give it to me. See how the mind moves, the young mind moves. Not only them, anybody for that matter, it moves. With all of us, it happens. So when all this is happening, how do you grasp that? How do you pull them and make them see the slide and make them listen to you? So you should plan well, prepare well, present well, so that you should have content and you should have clarity. And then, as I told you, this is a visual improvisation. So you need to have good verbal power and at the same time, good vocal power. So when you're presenting, especially when there is an audience of 200, 300, you need to be very good. Your voice should be reachable. You should be able to tell them that you know the subject. Many of them, what they do, they have the mic before them and they scream at the pitch of their voice. The mic itself is to enhance your voice. Very simple. The mic is given in your hand to enhance your voice. But with that, they scream at the pitch of their voice. So we immediately think, oh my God, I just want to run away from this place. Or what do they do? Am I audible? They ask. And that push sound, S sound is more. So they don't know how to handle it. I'm not blaming anyone, but what I'm trying to say is these are the things that might make our PPT look bad. See, when we are not able to present in a proper manner, our PPT looks bad. Nobody is interested in listening to you. So your PPT should be present. PPT should be presented well, so that you should also have certain characteristics. Then, suppose some places, as I told you, you might have not thought of certain things, but yes, the other party has thought of certain things, or has got a question on which we don't have a knowledge. Let it accept it. What is there? If possible, get back to them. You get down from the podium or get after the class, wherever you are using it, whichever place you are using it. Finish it. Just tell them I'll do little research on that. Get back to you immediately. So accept your lack of knowledge. If you do not know, nothing wrong. You just say, I'm sorry, I have no knowledge on that. I will get back to you with this. Possible, get back to them. If it is a conference like this, send the email to them. Say that this person asked this question. Please do reply to them. This is what I have done. This is the homework that I have done. Because that adds value to you. Next one is whenever you're presenting anything, explain and provide examples. Very important. Explain and provide examples. You need to say what you meant. You need to explain. You need to give examples. Many a times the example matter a lot, especially for children, especially for the audience. Only the example will remain in their mind. Many a times that is also happened. I got a beautiful answer script. In that answer script, we were talking about one movie, and I just told the students what happens in that movie. While explaining one particular section, I'm a law lecturer, explaining one particular section, I told one incident from one particular movie. To my surprise, the student had written only the movie part. The student wrote, this is what the section explains. And he wrote about that particular movie. The movie was about Amir Khan. I think you remember that movie, Amir Khan and Rani Mukherjee. He runs before the train, he jumps before the train. That example I had to tell them in the class for some incident. And the student remembered only that. Now, what I want to convey here is, I'm not saying that you shouldn't give examples. The example remains in their mind. So, give some examples to them. Of course, this was irrelevant. Just an example I am giving you. How to tell you, see, that is still there in my mind. You can imagine how important that becomes for a student. So, when you are explaining something to them, explain it in a proper manner and give proper examples. And this one. My apologies, I've got a very bad cold. Okay, then whenever you're having any kind of a PPT, make sure that there is no spelling and grammar mistakes in that, because that is more in their mind and you become a laughing stock. Don't do that. Keep on reading it again and again and again. As I told you, you are rehearsing. When you are rehearsing, please check the spelling and your grammar mistakes, because many are times your Google itself helps you because it puts in the red line is shown and it tells you that you're wrong. So make sure that you don't have any grammar or a spelling. Then, as I told you, do good lot of research before speaking to anyone or before presenting the PPT. Make sure that you have good lot of research. Any questions from any angle, you should be able to take it. You can't say I don't know for all the questions. One or two you can say I don't know, but not all the questions. So for that you should be extremely prepared, and you have to structure your presentation. Very, very important. This, and after this comes this, after this comes this. Many people, what happens? They say, no, 1 minute. What happened is that I've done a mistake there. You come from there. You come to this slide. Go from there. No. Whenever you're presenting, remember that you should have a proper structure. It should be like a mathematics. Step 1, step 2, step 3, and then only the answer. Many people, what they do, they're experts in math. First step, the last step. And people like me, I'll be wondering what exactly happened in between. I don't know. You have come to the answer directly. Every step is very important. So like that, you need to structure your PPT. And the next slide, please. And remember, you need to be very natural. Be very natural, comfortable. You can add with that, comfortable, natural. Just because the slide is running, I've seen many people, they are not able to take their eyes off from these slides. Don't do that. The student or the person who's sitting before you thinks, this person doesn't have any knowledge. Completely depend on the slide. Never do that. Be natural. You've forgotten one point, no problem. What is there in that? Let them ask you, or let them say that this point you missed, or you go back and say this is a mistake that I've done, or I left out this one, I'll add to that. Something like that. So be very natural. And as I told you, when you are accepting your lack of knowledge, you can be a learner. Be a learner. Just tell them, yes, on this I need to work more. I will work more and come back. But remember at the same time, unless you are a master, they will not accept you. As I told you, if they are able to pose some 10 questions to you, at least some 7 to 8 you should be able to answer. Another 2 you can skip, you can let go, no problem. But all 10 you cannot say, I don't know. So remember, you should be a master, but at the same time you should be a learner, where you are ready to accept that you have lost a track, or you have not been able to have good knowledge on that particular point. Because whenever you are talking to audience, many a times what happens is everything runs through inside your brain, but you are not able to connect. This happens even when you're writing. You're writing everything. The important word you forget. Such an important word. This is a connecting word you forget. Because that already your mind has read that, but your hand has not supported you. The same thing happens when you're presenting a PPT also. Your mind says everything, but your mouth does not support you. The slide is there. So nothing wrong. You can tell them, yes, I left out this one. As I told you, your humbleness will support you. Whenever you say that I'm doing a PPT presentation, whenever you say that I want to be the best or I want to present in a better manner, remember that these are small techniques that you need to accept. You need to say, yes, I don't know. I will work on it. But these are points that I feel I have supported it. These are points that I have read. I need to work on it or I worked on it. This is what it says. Because many times, students or anybody, I've seen it even in one or two conferences, just to trouble us, they want to pose a question. Just to trouble us. They don't like us or something like that is irritating them or they've been sitting through for long hours. So in a situation like that, they want to trouble us. In a situation like that, you should be a master. But remember, nothing wrong in saying that, yes, I don't know, because just to trouble, there'll be people who will be sitting before us. So I can say, I don't know, I will get back to you, I will learn that. And when you learn and when you're able to present better the next time, now the impact will be entirely different. And then whenever you're presenting any slide, make sure that it's readable, very much readable. They should be able to read that, and that should be able. They should be able to connect and go to. They should be able to prepare notes from that system. They should be able to know what you want to convey. Everything. See, just read my slides is more than enough for you to understand what I want to convey. Maybe I'm adding here and there one or two examples of things like that. So whenever you create one PPT and give it to somebody or presenting it to somebody, make sure that it is readable. Don't make things clumsy. Many people, come out with a lot of animation, lot of stories, lot of videos. For every one word, there is a video. Don't do that. Yes, your PPT is very important, no doubt about it. It creates a very good impact on the opposite people. But remember that it should be readable. You should be able to tell them that this is what I want to convey, or this is what I want to say, but I put it in a simple word. That's why I told you, word can tell a story. I remember the second slide, word can tell a story. The next one is, it should be simple and logical, very logical, because previous slide, again, I'm telling you, you should structure it. When can you structure it? Only when it is logical. Especially if you're using it, see, in a place where you're using a chart or graph and all that, you don't have to be logical. That itself will speak volumes. It will tell you how much you earned this annual year, what is your growth next annual year, what is your turnover, how much you have paid, how much of loan you have to give, and all that. Company-wise, I'm not talking. But especially when you're presenting something theory-wise, remember, you want to be very logical because there'll be a lot of questions on that. There are a lot of questions on that. And you've got to be very simple when you're presenting. Don't put all your complex knowledge on that and tell them because they'll again lose their interest in that. So you should be very simple and you've got to be very logical. Suppose you bring something, as I told you, give examples. So when you're giving examples and you want to connect it to logic, you're bringing something and inserting into your PPT. The next question is they'll ask you, ma'am, why did you put this here? What is it that you want to convey? In what way this is connected? See, anybody will question you. So you shouldn't be like a person who's questioning. That is why I told you in the very beginning, you should only arise the question and you should only be able to answer it yourself. Others should not do it. So here, you should be very simple and very logical. Just 1 second, ma'am. My apologies. I was very, very bad cold and fever. Sorry. Okay, then it should be object oriented. What you want to say, they should be able to understand. I remember having put in one of the slides here, your passion should be with a mission. What is your mission? You should say what I want to say. This is the objective of my slide. This is what I want to convey. This is what I want to prove to you. This is what I want to tell you. Here is where you have a lack of knowledge. This is what research that I have done. See, it answers so many questions behind that. When I say it should be object oriented, I will just give you an example again on this. I happened to go through one PhD research. The person has very nicely written that research, no doubt about it, and nobody to discuss on that, or I'm nobody to even criticize it. At one point, the person took one particular word and wanted to explain on that. It was about plants and all that, plant varieties and all that. Again, this was the research, only one word she had taken about plant varieties and all. It was related to IPR, plant varieties and all that. From there, she started writing only about plant varieties. It went on and it is going about the plan for it. Then I just happened to ask the person, and I said, see, can I ask you one question? She said, yeah, please ask me. See, your project is on something, your PhD is on something. From there, you started talking about plant arrays. You need to talk. When you're talking about IPR and all that, you need to talk. You're talking logical, as I told you. But from there, your objective changed. It is completely into something else. One page of explanation on this is enough. And again, you have to go back to the previous topic. Many of us, we read the topic and we do not know what's happening. We do not know what is happening at all. From there, we write on this and keep on talking about that. No, you have to go back to your source. You need to go back to your mother. You need to go back to the dimension from where you started. You need to start from your root. Again, go back. Keep on reading the headings. Keep on reading the headings and come back. So here, you should be very object-oriented. When you're talking about something, as I told you, you're giving examples. Don't deviate too much. Come back. Immediately join and tell them this is what I wanted to convey and I have conveyed. So, object-oriented. Then, it should generate interest. Every person sitting before us must think, what might be the next one? Ah, nice. I remember. Why we need to generate interest? Be it anybody, they should be able to say this person spoke well. That is very important. I told you PowerPoint presentation. The presenter is very important. Yeah, the points are given and it looks powerful only. But for it to look very nice, I should be able to create the interest. Who can create interest? Only the slides will not create any kind of an interest. It should be created by you. For you to create interest, as I told you, you should be able to have clarity. You should have the charisma. And above all that, you should know what you're talking. You should know what you are trying to convey to them. And sometimes, as I told you, keep it brief, sometimes be very aggressive. So you need to generate that interest. Hold them. Holding their interest or holding their attention is one of the toughest tasks on this side. And we need to know the book. We need to do it. And remember, we need to offer some values. Chumma going on talking about something. No, it's not going to support you. You need to add some value. You need to tell what exactly happened here. What exactly is the problem and why this went wrong. I'll just give you an example. There is one subject called as jurisprudence in law. It is such a boring subject that anybody who sits before you always sleeps. Those are them. And the worst part is the class is always in the afternoon. After lunch, none of the students are interested to listen to that. But that's one of the crucial papers. And in that paper, always there are second attempt, third attempt, fourth attempt. Some people have even written 10 times also. Because that's one of the toughest subjects. So here we need to generate interest because all the theory papers are always worse and nobody wants to listen to theory. So how do you grasp? Many techniques you need to see. See, one of the theorists, just two examples I'll give you. I'll not take much of your time. One of the theorists, Austin theory, it says that do good, avoid evil. This word is like the punch dialogue of Rajinikanth. All my students, they remember the theory or not, they will remember. Do good, avoid evil. Do good, avoid evil. Do good, avoid evil. When you just tell them this, they remember that. You know, they remember this was told by this person, this was told by this person, and they immediately start writing a little bit at least. And you know, there's one more person, he died, and after he died, Jeremy Bentham, after he died, his body is kept in the museum. Even to this day, his body is there in the museum. So what they do, every year there's a kind of a meeting that happens in the library. So they bring the body, they keep it as if that person is present, and they do that, and then they take back the body and keep it back in the where they have to keep it in the museum. So I told them, Jeremy Bentham means you have to remember this. See, Jeremy Bentham is not been cremated till now. His body is still there in the museum. So whenever there is a meeting every year, they bring him, and that is whatever his answer is, it is considered as yes, and he doesn't sign or anything, just a body, and they take it back and keep it there. So everybody started remembering Jeremy Bentham. Anything you say, they'll remember Jeremy Bentham. So these are small kind of things that you need to add. So you can add values to it. You can say how they did it, why they kept the body still there, because they considered him to be of such a great soul. He gave so much to the subject. So like that, you have to add values and you can tell them why it is done. The next one is you've got to be very strong. You've got to be very engaging. And remember, you need to impress the audience like anything, because only the slides will not help you. You need to impress the audience. How can you impress the audience? How you have to grasp their knowledge? You need to work on it. You need to tell who are the people on the other side. If they are doctorate, that knowledge power is entirely different. If they are students, their power is entirely different. If it's a mixed audience, their power is entirely different again because the students are bored. They don't want to listen to you. The teachers are, no, we have to listen what to do. Yeah, we have called this person as a chief guest. They don't have any, they don't show emotion. Yeah. No, nothing like that. You need to be very interesting. You need to hold them. When you want to hold them, for that you need to do extensive work. How do you do that? That is that. As I told you, it is left you tell a story, tell a fact, bring a research, laugh, smile at them, bring out what you want to say. What you do, brainstorming you have to do just to grab their attention. And then remember, good and bad PPT presentation. There are, see, many a times we say that person is not good. Many might have felt, oh, she's not up to the mark. No, I didn't expect her to speak this, not up to the mark. So what did we learn from this conference? Very simple. I am the worst PPT presenter. You got to be better than me. Very simple. If you say that I'm bad, take this. If you feel that I am good, then you need to know how you need to work in the same fashion. That's all. Very simple. So there are two kinds: good PPT, bad PPT. If at all you happen to see any bad PPT, remember that you shouldn't be like that. As I told you, there are many a times the speaker is speaking and the audience are so bored halfway through they start clapping because they want to say, please stop it, enough. What does that indicate? That it is bad. They don't like it. They're not interested. They feel that you don't have much of a knowledge, or they feel that you're monotonous. So remember, you shouldn't be monotonous. You should be more like a singer. That the shruti must go up, come down. You should be able to wake them. You should be able to say, okay, sleep, lullaby. Everything should be there. It should be a mixture. So your PPT is also like that because you are the presenter. Remember that it should have. If you feel it's a bad PPT, don't do like that. If you feel it's a good PPT, take that model. Take that model and adopt it. Now the next slide, please. Now, before I conclude, I would say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Why did I put this here? It is just a caption. Many people send it with a good morning and things like that. I put it with another one. Here you can say that the soldier is helping a child also. Or you can say that this is a war-torn area where the children are suffering. Or you can also say that the children are begging before him. Whatever, God forbid, for using this word, it shouldn't be that. But what I want to say is your PPT is also like that. It's just a picture for them and it is worth 1,000 words. So remember, your PPT should be very powerful. How you want to depict it, how you want to see it, everything depends on that. Your PPT should be one thing you should remember, that it should be pleasant to the eye. Very, very important. Many words put together, making it clumsy, nobody likes it. Many a time only you put, like how I put only the animation and the cartoon characters, they don't like it. They feel you are not a serious teacher. Many a times you take something very serious and talk, they don't like it. So you have to keep on changing. Your change is very, very important. You need to keep on working on it. That's why I told you, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Your PPT is just like a picture, which will get embedded in their mind. It will be in their young minds or the observing minds. It might be even doctorates. They'll be observing you. They'll be taking you into their brain. They'll be keeping it. So remember, it should be very, very powerful, very attractive. And how you do it, what you do, it is left to each researcher. Because I'll give you an example. There was one teacher of mine who always used to come and do only PPT in the class. And for us, PPT was a medicine at that point of time. Because PPT means, oh my God, immediately we used to say, that teacher, oh, forget it. She will come, she'll put the slides, blah, 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 she'll shout and go. No. When you want to grasp their attention, as I told you, there must be content and clarity. Your PPT should never be good. Your PPT should be so powerful that they should be able to say, yeah, for this she said that. Yeah, she said that, I remember. That one word is enough. Yeah, she gave that example. Remember, she put the picture. Even now, we remember many of the stories told in the school days. Many of the pictures that we have seen in the school days. I remember there was one chart that was there, which says A to Z, and in that A for apple, B for ball. We used to have that, same thing again, C for cat. Now, why do I remember that? Because that's a picture. And that is being shown to us again and again and again and again. So remember, your picture should be so powerful. And as I told you, only once I've used this word, I'm repeating it again. Never touch upon any controversy. Never touch upon any controversy because it loses that, the impact. It loses the impact. Your PPT will lose impact. So when you want to convey something, convey with a clarity. Tell them this is where I live it. It is left to you to think further because many a times we are forced to speak on certain things which we don't like or we don't want to convey. So leave it there. So only one no that I would say about PPT is don't use it again and again and again. Use it once in a while and make sure that it is very powerful. And second thing is never ever, this is my principle, maybe I'm wrong also, never ever touch upon anything controversial. Controversy means it need not have to be religion. It need not have to be politics. Simple, one example, film. Film can also be controversy. Just one example, what's happening now. If I talk about the recent one, you'll be able to remember. The movie Jailer has been released. All of us know Rajinikanth's movie. And Rajinikanth is talking about something. But suddenly everybody said he talks about one particular artist. That artist, we all know. It is that artist that we are talking about. See how that becomes a controversy. Yeah, he might have not meant it, or I don't want to get into that. Again, I don't want to get controversial. But what I'm trying to say is never get controversial. Leave it there. Put a question mark where you are not able to speak and tell them, this is my opinion, I leave it there. So only one don't about your PPT is don't overuse it every time. Don't keep on depending on your PPT. And second is never touch upon anything controversial which would hurt anybody in the world. Just leave it. Okay, it's up to them to assume. It is up to them to decide what they want to decide. Let them decide. So that's the only thing that I would say about the PPT. And apart from that, everything said and done, it's a very powerful tool, especially for a professional. Very, very powerful tool. And the next slide, please. I think I'll be winding up there. Thank you so much. I'm ready for any of the questions. If anything is there, please do ask me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.